There is a weight you carry that you never agreed to carry. Every morning, you wake up and put on a mask. Not a physical one, but something heavier. The mask of being someone important, someone worthy, someone who matters. And here is what no one tells you. That mask is crushing you. The ancient Taoists discovered something that sounds impossible in our world of personal branding and social media fame. They found that your greatest power does not come from being seen, noticed, or validated. It comes from the opposite, from becoming nobody at all. This is not about giving up or hiding. This is about discovering a type of freedom so profound that it dissolves the very chains you did not know you were wearing. Think about your last week. How many times did you check if someone liked your post? How many times did you rehearse what you would say to sound clever? How many decisions did you make, not because they felt right, but because of how they would make you look? This is the burden of importance. When you try to be someone, you become a prisoner of perception. You hand over the keys to your peace to every stranger's opinion, every competitor's success, every social metric that measures your worth. The exhaustion you feel is not from working hard. It is from maintaining an image that was never real to begin with. The Taoists called this trap the carved block. Imagine a piece of raw wood, uncut and whole. It has infinite potential. It could become a statue, a table, a home. But the moment you carve it into something specific, you lose all other possibilities. You become defined, limited. The Tao Te Ching speaks of Pu, the uncarved block, as the highest state of being. It is pure potential, undefined by labels or roles. When you insist on being somebody specific, you carve away your own freedom. You become a fixed thing in a flowing world. Society teaches you that reputation is everything. Build your brand. Curate your image. Collect followers like trophies. But here is the secret those ancient sages understood. Reputation is a ghost that feeds on your energy. Every piece of validation you receive demands 10 more. Every achievement raises the bar higher. You become addicted to the drug of recognition, and like all addictions, it slowly destroys the very thing you were trying to protect, your authentic self. The person you actually are gets buried under layers of who you think you should be. Now consider the opposite path. What if you could move through the world without needing anyone to know your name? What if your value was not tied to your visibility? The Taoists discovered that invisibility is not weakness. It is a shield. It is strategy. When you are nobody, you become untouchable. Criticism cannot wound you because there is no image to defend. Failure cannot shame you because you claimed no superiority. Rejection cannot devastate you because you never needed acceptance. This is not about becoming passive or withdrawn. This is about reclaiming the energy you have been hemorrhaging into the endless performance of being someone important. In the ancient Vedic texts, there is a story that reveals this truth with perfect clarity. It is the tale of Satyakama, whose name means lover of truth. When Satyakama was a young boy, he approached his mother with a burning desire. He wanted to study the sacred knowledge, to become a student at the feet of a great teacher. But in his time, only those of noble birth, those who could claim important lineage, were accepted as students. So his mother asked him the question that would change everything. Who is your father? The boy looked at his mother with complete honesty and said, I do not know. You have worked many jobs, traveled to many places, served many people. I cannot tell you who my father is. His mother, instead of shame, gave him a gift more valuable than any false claim of nobility. She said, Go to the teacher. Tell him exactly this. Tell him you are Satyakama, son of Jabala. and that you do not know who your father is. Imagine the courage this required. In a society obsessed with lineage and status, this boy would walk before a great sage and declare himself nobody. He would claim no important family, no prestigious bloodline, no inherited worth, just truth. Satyakama traveled to the hermitage of the sage Gautama. When asked about his lineage, he repeated his mother's words exactly. "I asked my mother who my father was. She told me she does not know. She worked many jobs and cannot say. I am Satyakama, son of Jabala. That is all I can tell you." The other students surely whispered. They must have looked at him with pity or contempt. Here was someone claiming nothing, owning nothing, being nobody. But Gautama, the wise teacher, did something unexpected. He smiled, and he said words that echo through centuries. "None but a true seeker could speak thus. You are accepted as my student, for you have spoken the truth without shame. Those who hide behind false claims of importance will never grasp what I teach. But you, who claim nothing, you are ready to receive everything." The sage then did something even more remarkable. He sent Satyakama away from the hermitage, not to punish him, but to teach him. The boy was given 400 weak and sickly cows and told to tend them in the wilderness until they multiplied to 1,000. No scrolls, no lectures, no temple study. Just a nobody, alone with nature and duty. Years passed. Satyakama lived in obscurity, unknown and unseen. He built no reputation. He impressed no crowds. He was simply present, doing what needed to be done, tending his animals with care. And here is where the story reveals its deepest wisdom. As Satyakama sat in that wilderness, being nobody, the sacred knowledge came to him directly. A bull spoke to him of the cardinal directions. Fire revealed to him the nature of existence. A swan taught him about the divine. The universe itself became his teacher because he had emptied himself of the need to be somebody. When he finally returned to Gautama with 1,000 healthy cows, the sage looked at him and said, "You glow with sacred knowledge. Who taught you?" Satyakama replied, "The beings of nature, but I have come to hear it from your lips as well." He had learned the ultimate lesson. Wisdom comes not to those who demand recognition, but to those who embrace their own emptiness. This story is not about ancient India. It is about you, right now, reading these words. Satyakama discovered what the Taoists called Wu Wei, action without friction. When you stop trying to be someone important, you stop creating resistance in every interaction. Think about how much energy you waste in a single conversation trying to appear smart, knowledgeable, or impressive. You are not actually listening. You are preparing your next line, calculating how you sound, managing your image. This is friction. This is the carved block at work. Wu Wei means moving through social situations like water. Water does not try to be important. It does not claim superiority over the rock. Yet over time, water shapes mountains. It flows around obstacles, fills empty spaces, and nourishes everything it touches without demanding credit. When you practice being nobody in your interactions, you stop competing. You stop comparing. You become genuinely curious about others because you have nothing to prove. This creates a magnetic quality. People feel safe around you. They open up. They trust you. Not because you performed impressiveness, but because you offered spaciousness. The Tao Te Ching speaks of the valley spirit and asks why valleys hold such power. The answer is devastatingly simple. Because they are low. Water flows to the lowest places, and wherever water gathers, life flourishes. Mountains stand tall and proud, carved into specific shapes, visible from great distances. But they are barren at the peaks. Life thrives in the valleys, in the low places, in the spaces that claim no importance. This is natural law. The moment you stop reaching for height, you become the place where resources naturally flow. Consider the tree that grows too tall, too fast, too proud of its height. The first strong wind topples it. But the bamboo, which bends and yields, which never claims to be the mightiest, survives every storm. This is detachment from outcomes taken to its ultimate conclusion. When you act without needing to claim the result, you become unbreakable. Your boss takes credit for your idea. If you are nobody, this does not wound you. You acted because the action was right, not because you needed recognition. Your project succeeds. If you are nobody, you do not become attached to repeating that success. You simply flow to the next right action. This is the freedom of zero expectations. Expectations are premeditated resentments. Every time you expect recognition, appreciation, or validation, you set a trap for yourself. When it does not come, and it often will not, you suffer. But when you release all expectations, when you embrace being nobody, you become free to act purely. Your work becomes cleaner. Your relationships become simpler. Your mind becomes quieter. You are no longer performing for an invisible audience. You are simply here, doing what is in front of you, and that is enough. Here is the practical turn. Here is where ancient wisdom meets your Monday morning. The philosophical concept the Taoists loved most was the utility of emptiness. They would point to a cup and ask, what makes the cup useful? Not the clay, but the empty space inside. You could have the most beautifully carved cup, adorned with jewels and gold. But if there is no emptiness inside, it holds nothing. It becomes useless decoration. The same with a room. The walls and roof are important, yes, but it is the empty space within that you actually use. This is the power of being nobody. You become the useful emptiness that can hold anything. In the modern workplace, this translates directly. Imagine you are in a meeting. Someone proposes an idea you know is flawed. The somebody self wants to jump in, to showcase expertise, to be the one who corrects the error. But the nobody self waits. The nobody self asks a simple question instead of making a statement. Help me understand how this would work with our current resources? You have guided the group to see the flaw without claiming superiority. You have been useful without being visible. This is the practice. When your colleague succeeds, the somebody self feels threatened, begins comparing, starts calculating whether their success diminishes your value. But the nobody self feels nothing, or rather, feels genuine gladness, because there is no competition when you are nobody. Their success does not occupy your space because you have claimed no space to defend. You congratulate them fully, without the bitter aftertaste of envy, and you move on to your own work. This is not suppression of emotion. This is freedom from the exhausting game of ranking humans. When you fail at a task, the somebody self spirals. What will they think of me? I have lost face. My reputation is damaged. But the nobody self simply notes what happened and learns from it. There is no identity crisis because there was no fixed identity to begin with. You remain the uncarved block, still holding all potential, ready to become whatever the next moment requires. This is the turning key. Your self-worth becomes unconditional. Not because you have convinced yourself you are important despite evidence, but because you have stopped measuring worth by importance at all. The modern witness Alan Watts spent years teaching Westerners about what he called the wisdom of insecurity. He explained that trying to be somebody secure, somebody permanent, somebody important, is like trying to grasp water. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. But when you open your hand, when you embrace the fluid self, the self that is nobody in particular, you become capable of being anybody the moment requires. You are not trapped in a carved identity. You are free to respond freshly to each situation without the burden of consistency with your past performances. So what does this journey teach us? Look back at where we began. You started carrying the weight of being someone important. Now you see that weight was optional. Every ancient wisdom tradition points to this same truth using different words. The Buddhists call it anatta, no self. The Taoists call it the Uncarved Block. The Vedic sages taught it through the Story of Satyakama. Even modern psychology is catching up, recognizing that the ego, the somebody self, is the primary source of human suffering. The integration into daily life is simpler than you think. It does not require moving to a monastery. It requires a subtle shift in each moment. When you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause. When you feel the need to defend your image, pause. When you feel the compulsion to be seen, noticed, validated, pause. In that pause, remember, you are nobody. And being nobody is your greatest power. It means you cannot be diminished. It means you cannot be defeated. It means you flow where life flows. You adapt without breaking. You act without claiming. This is not about becoming invisible in the sense of disappearing from responsibilities. It is about becoming invisible to the tyranny of opinion. Your actions remain. Your contributions remain. Your presence remains. But the desperate need for recognition dissolves. You become like Satyakama in the wilderness, tending your cows, doing your work, learning from nature itself. The knowledge comes not because you chased it with credentials and status, but because you made space for it by emptying yourself. Practice this today. In your next conversation, resist the urge to showcase knowledge. Just listen. In your next project, do excellent work without announcing it. In your next success, let others discover it naturally without your promotion. In your next failure, skip the shame spiral and move directly to learning. These are not tricks. These are invitations to freedom. Each time you choose to be nobody, you reclaim a piece of your energy that was trapped in performance. If this resonates with you, if you feel the weight beginning to lift, I invite you to join us here at Taoist Diary. Subscribe to continue this journey together. We explore these ancient paths not as academic exercises, but as practical tools for living with more peace, more clarity, more freedom. The wisdom we share is not ours to claim. It belongs to no one, which means it belongs to everyone who is ready to receive it. Here is your final reflection. Satyakama became a great sage. His name is remembered thousands of years later. But he did not set out to be remembered. He set out to know truth. And because he was willing to be nobody, to claim nothing, to own no importance, the truth found him. The same is available to you. Not someday when you are more spiritual or more evolved. Right now. In this moment. By simply releasing the exhausting performance of being somebody and discovering the profound power of being nobody.